There are days when your body refuses to move. The alarm rings, sunlight pours in. Yet you lie there, frozen. Not from laziness, not from weakness, but from a war no one else can see. The weight on your chest has no name, no form, and no witness but you. This isn't physical exhaustion. This is spiritual warfare. And if you found this message, it's not an accident. Welcome to Chill, Then Conquer, where warriors like you remember who they truly are. Here, we don't chase inspiration. We remember identity. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are not weak. You are becoming. You clicked play because somewhere deep in your soul, a flicker is still burning. A spark not extinguished by all the nights you cried, all the mornings you didn't want to rise. You've been collapsing in silence, holding yourself together while unraveling on the inside. And even though no one clapped, you survived battles in the dark that would have destroyed most people in the light. The battlefield is your room. The altar is your bed. And the war? It's holy. Because you are chosen. Not because you're perfect, but because you're trusted. The burdens you carry weren't randomly thrown at you. They were entrusted to you, because heaven knew you wouldn't fold. Even when your body doesn't rise, your spirit refuses to die. They say, get up, shake it off, pray harder. But what they don't understand is that getting up feels like climbing a mountain with no air. That shaking it off would require strength you haven't had in weeks. That prayer sometimes feels like screaming into a sky that refuses to answer back. But what they don't see is what heaven sees. Heaven sees a warrior. Heaven sees the strength in your silence. Heaven calls what they misunderstand warfare. You've become a master at wearing the mask, smiling while screaming inside, helping others while breaking quietly, answering calls while waiting for someone to finally ask, "Are you okay?" But this isn't weakness. It's the sacred cost of your calling. Chosen ones don't always fight with swords. Sometimes your greatest victory is in staying alive one more day, breathing one more breath, whispering one more prayer through tears no one else can see. And the most profound battles? They happen in silence. They happen without applause. They happen under the covers, when you decide that even though the night tried to break you, the morning will still find you breathing. Even Jesus needed someone to help carry his cross. Why do you think your pain means you're disqualified? Your fatigue doesn't disqualify you. Your collapse doesn't cancel your calling. Your silence doesn't scare God. He has sat with you in that room. He has caught the tears that had no words. He has heard your silent cries. And he stayed. You haven't just been lying in a bed, you've been resisting. There are days when your body feels like a battlefield, and no one else knows the war has already begun. The alarm rings, the world starts spinning, light breaks through the window like a promise you can't keep. But your limbs, heavy, your breath, shallow, and your soul, tired in a way no rest can fix. This isn't laziness, this isn't weakness. This is what it feels like to carry a purpose so heavy, even your bones remember the weight. You're not just exhausted, you're spiritually depleted.
And if you're still reading this, that's not by accident. Something brought you here. Because maybe, just maybe, you're not ordinary. You're chosen. This place was made for souls like you. Souls that feel too deeply. Spirits that were born to shake kingdoms, but have learned how to collapse in silence. You've been taught to look strong, to keep moving, to show up even when everything inside is falling apart. But beneath that mask, behind the "I'm fine," there's a battlefield. Your bed, not comfort. Your room, not rest. It's become the place where invisible wars unfold, and no one sees it. They see you lying there and think you're resting, but you're resisting. Because the enemy doesn't always strike with chaos. Sometimes he whispers. Whispers that sound like your own voice. You're falling behind. You're a burden. God forgot you. And the hardest part? Those lies don't always feel like lies. They feel like the truth. But hear this. You are not the lie. You are the one who's still standing, even in stillness. Because chosen ones, they don't always fight with noise. Sometimes the most powerful war is waged in silence. Sometimes the fiercest weapon is choosing to breathe one more time. Let's speak truth to your soul. You are not weak because you're tired. You're real. You're raw. You're in the middle of your forging. Every battle in silence, every tear without witness, every night you kept breathing with no applause. Heaven saw it. Hell feared it. And the earth will remember it. Because even the anointed collapse, even the called cry out in secret, even those marked by purpose feel like ghosts in their own skin.
Do you remember Elijah, the prophet who called down fire, then begged for death under a tree? Do you remember Jeremiah, who wept for a nation that never listened? And Jesus, the Messiah himself, pressed so deeply in the garden that his sweat became blood. So what makes you think your fatigue disqualifies you? What makes you think your stillness makes you small? Let me speak to the root, to that whisper that haunts you. Your tiredness is not a sign you're losing. It's the evidence you're carrying something sacred. You've been showing up for everyone, carrying others' weight, praying for people who would never pray for you, giving out strength while no one notices your silence. This is not weakness. This is the cost of being chosen. You weren't picked because you were perfect. You were chosen because you could carry what others couldn't even lift. But listen, you're not supposed to carry it alone. Even Jesus had someone help him carry the cross. So why are you still pretending that your exhaustion is your shame? It's not failure. It's an invitation. An invitation to collapse in the presence of the only one who understands. To fall, not into despair, but into grace. And here's the part no one tells you. When you finally let go, when you stop pretending and finally release what was never yours to carry, that's when something shifts. Not with noise, not with lightning. Sometimes, the shift comes in a whisper, in a breath. In the sacred silence between your last breakdown and your first breakthrough. And brother, you're close. Closer than you think. But don't get too comfortable yet, because the next part, it will show you where the real enemy is hiding, not outside, but in the voice inside your mind that's been narrating your downfall for years. And once you see it, once you recognize what's been whispering against your purpose, you'll never walk the same again. Stay with me, because the next breath could be the one that brings the fire back, the kind that doesn't burn you down, but burns everything that tried to keep you small. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to rise. And even if you rise trembling, even if you rise in pieces, you are still rising in power. This was not your grave. It was your womb. You are not being buried. You are being born. Welcome back. Now tell the darkness, I'm not done. I'm just getting started. Subscribe to Chill Then Conquer, because here, every message is crafted to awaken your purpose. You've survived too much to live numb. Now it's time to rise. But here's the question I'll leave burning in your mind. What if the voice you've been fighting was never yours to begin with? There comes a moment in every chosen one's life when silence breaks, not with noise, but with presence. When the weight doesn't disappear, but you finally rise carrying it. Not because it became lighter, but because you became stronger. You don't remember the exact second the shift happened,
but something ancient inside you reawakened. The flicker in your chest that refused to go out, the whisper in your bones that said, "Not yet." It has grown. It has become a voice, and now that voice is rising. This isn't just about survival anymore. This is about transformation. You didn't crawl through fire just to return the same. No, you are standing up as someone else, the version of you that the enemy tried to smother in silence, the version of you that's been molded in dark rooms, trained in invisible battles, and crowned in the secret place. You are no longer just enduring. You are becoming. And what you are becoming, the world has not yet seen. This isn't the same soul that once trembled at every storm. This is the resurrected one, the weathered, wiser, war-tested you. You've gone through too much not to glow, and now even the ashes are starting to shine. Your rise won't always be visible to the world, but the spiritual realm felt the shift. Heaven stood still. Hell panicked. The ground beneath your feet remembered your name. Because here's the truth they never told you. Resurrection doesn't always look glorious at first. Sometimes it's slow. Sometimes it's silent. Sometimes it looks like one step after 1,000 tears. But every movement is holy. Every breath is an act of rebellion against the lies that tried to bury you. They thought they'd seen the end of you, but the end was never yours. Only the beginning was. And now, you rise not as a wounded one, but as a weapon.
Not just restored, reborn. Not just awakened, unleashed. So if today your hands are still shaking, if your voice still cracks when you speak your truth, if your steps are uneven, walk anyway. The comeback of the chosen doesn't begin with applause. It begins with breath. And breath you still have. Because your purpose isn't just intact, it's alive. It didn't die in that room. It didn't die in that depression. It didn't die in that loss. It waited. It watched. It whispered your name until you answered. And now that you've answered, everything must shift. You're not here by accident, not watching this by mistake. You're not too far behind, not too broken, not too late. You are on time for your own prophecy. So when your feet finally touch the ground, don't just stand. Shake the earth. Let the spirits that whispered you were finished tremble at your footsteps. Let every voice that called you unworthy choke on your rise. Because you're not just getting up, you're returning. And the ground beneath you, it won't forget what's happening now. It won't forget the silence that became strength, the pain that became fire, the fall that became flight. This is where the ashes glow. This is where you remember. You were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to break quietly. You were always meant to rise. Even if you rise in fragments, you rise in glory. Even if you rise in tears, you rise in truth. Even if you rise alone, you rise with heaven behind you. So rise, chosen one, not because you're ready, but because your time has come. Let the dust fall. Let the old name fade. Let the silence give birth to sound. And when your foot hits the floor, the ground will remember. A warrior just stood up. This isn't the end. This is the ignition. See you in the next video.